There was no comparison between southern France and Omaha Beach. Southern France was like a picnic.
You are about to embark upon the Great Crusade.
To meet this mounting aggression.
And make no mistake about it, good will prevail.
I was standing by the radio on Sunday morning, I believe it was, listening to the news, and President Roosevelt made his speech about the infamous Japanese. That's when I heard it. I was a senior in high school. Well, first I didn't want to go in the Army, and I thought the Navy would suit me better. Well, I spent 6 weeks at boot camp first, of course, in Sampson Naval Training Station in Seneca Lake, New York. And from there, I went to Miami of Ohio for my radio training. We were right on campus with the rest of the students there, and it was a very nice situation. And the training was learning the code, the Morse code, which I already knew when I went in, and learning to operate the radio. And it was extensive training for nearly 6 months. I believe we got there in September of 1943, and it was there until February of 1944. I was on the USS LCI 409. It was 19 days on the sea, and when I got to England, it was 10 pounds lighter. I was a chronic seasick case, and you didn't have anything like Dramamine back in those days. So you ate just enough to keep your stomach in shape, but just enough to let it go and relieve yourself. The seas were very rough, and we rocked and rolled all the way to England for 19 days. And being aboard that ship, you couldn't use too much fresh water. So we had to take salt water showers. And if anyone has ever taken a saltwater shower, they know what I'm talking about. So I would guess that there weren't too many people taking showers because of it. As a radio man, I received and transmitted coded messages, either received from the headquarters of the flotilla or from the main frequency, which was I used to have to listen to NSS Fox and record those messages. That was a general message to the fleet. And as a radio man aboard a small ship like I was on, I also had the duties of a yeoman. I had to do all the clerical work. And actually, the LCI seemed like something big to me, even though it's considered one of the smaller vessels in the navies. So I was impressed with the what I thought was a large ship. Little did I know it was one of the small ones. Once I got out into the Atlantic and it got shaken up a bit, I realized that the ocean was much bigger. And I never realized how big it was in comparison to others until I saw the destroyers and I saw the aircraft carriers. We were just a small boat compared to them. The LCI is 158 feet long and 23 feet across the beam. And my duty was in the radio room during the invasion of Normandy. I don't know exactly when we started taking on fire, but we dropped off 200 troops onto the beach. The LCI has a ramp on both sides, and you could hear the executive officer yelling, "Keep those troops moving." And we were on the beach and off the beach in about 11 minutes. So while we were being shot at by 50 caliber machine guns, we were never hit. But I personally didn't experience any of that because I was in the radio room. But my shipmates did tell me that they were happy to get away from it. They could hear it all and know it was bouncing close to our ship, but we were unscathed. Being in the radio room didn't give me much of a visual view of what was going on outside. I could hear the explosions, but visually with my eyes, I didn't witness any of it. Well, when we drew off the beach, we had a wounded soldier on our ship, and the LST that we collided with was either had medical personnel aboard or was acting as a hospital ship. I don't know which. But anyway, we came alongside of the LST that had arms sticking out of the sides on which they hung small boats. And the captain, probably from my view, the captain of our ship didn't see those long arms sticking out. So when we pulled alongside, it tore a hole in the bulkhead of our ship. And as a matter of fact, one of those long arms came through the bulkhead into my radio room while I was sitting there. And I thought for sure we were hit by a German 88 millimeter gun, although the cause of it was not that at all. So we had to go back to England for repairs, and we did that. I would say we were back there in about 3 or 4 days to a week, had repairs done, and then picked up another load of troops. And this time it was a load of Signal Corps troops that we went back to Normandy with. And the troops didn't get off fast enough, so the tide went out, and it left our ship high and dry on the beach. And that made us a sitting duck for German planes coming over to strafe us. Now, and it sure did happen. The Messerschmitt 109s came over to strafe us, and I think about every ship in the area opened up and blew them out of the sky. But that was a harrowing experience to have these planes trying to knock you off while you're on the beach. We were on the beach until the tide went out, because there's no way you could get off until the tide came in, and we could get out. You know, I can honestly say that I never experienced fear of getting killed. Even at Normandy, at the Omaha Beach, I don't ever remember wondering, am I gonna come out of this? I just assumed that I would. I figured I'm only an 18-year-old. I can't die yet. I guess that's the attitude of a young person. So even though I'm put in an adult situation, I still have the mind of a kid. I was on the 409 till the end of September. Then I was assigned to the 47. What happened was they took the Radioman of the 47 and put it on the 49 and took me off the 49 and put me on the 47 because the Radioman on the 47 had long-term duty and I only had 6 months. So we swapped Radioman. So then I was on the 47 till my day of my discharge. Well, we shuttled several loads of troops to southern France. We picked them up in Africa, either in Bizerte, Tunisia, or Oran, Algeria. They were French colonial troops that we picked up. And we brought them to England, to France, I should say. There was no comparison between southern France and Omaha Beach. Southern France was like a picnic compared to what we experienced on Omaha Beach. It had pretty well been softened up by naval bombardment and airplanes, U.S. aircraft. So the landing was a very soft landing as far as I'm concerned. During the end of the war, we also transported German prisoners. That was part of it. And as an honor ship, we were also given the privilege of going from Naples or Pozzuoli, Italy, down to Bizerte, Tunisia, or Oran, Algeria, to pick up mail and, of all things, beer too, to take back to the people on the Italian mainland. We were kind of expecting the end, and when it came over, it was great satisfaction. I mean, there was I don't recall any big celebration when Hitler shot himself and Eva Braun was killed too. It was just a pleasure to hear that it was over. And the things we were looking forward to was the day when we were going to get out. Well, I'll tell you one thing. It made a man out of me quickly. I was just a boy when I went in. And it made a man out of me very quickly. It was a privilege for me to serve. That's the way I felt. Privilege for me to serve. And I had learned from a youth that God and country was important. As a matter of fact, as a Boy Scout, I learned, on my honor, I will do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout laws, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And I felt that I had done that while I was in the Navy, even though I was a grown Boy Scout.